Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is K-Rod here. I'm here with the great one and only up and coming welterweight, soon to be world champion contender, Mr. Shinard Bunch. How are you, my friend?
Yes, sir, I'm all right. I'm all right. How you?
I am great. I want to say congratulations on your recent victory, but most importantly, we're going to probably have to talk about that fight that you had that was controversial with one fighter that I actually do like, Janelson Figueroa. I definitely need to ask you a lot of questions about that. I personally didn't hear anything about you, and I'm like a really big boxing fan when it does come to up and coming prospects. But credit to this one other YouTuber, Kind of Local Sports. He was talking about you, and I didn't know anything about you, and I was like, trying to collect data to like understand like what type of fighter that you are, and I guess like when I did. Oh, can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna finalize to say like, when I was trying to understand who you were as a fighter, you actually did fight some really good names, and you actually got battle tested with some really good opponents. And when I saw you fight Janelson, I was just very shocked with your abilities and skills, because you definitely kept your promise, and you showed to the world who you were as a fighter. But I guess that's the most important question, that you could explain to the audience who you are, where you come from, and how'd you get into the game, and how did you start out your boxing career?
Well, everybody that don't know, my name is Shinard Bunch. I'm originally from Brooklyn. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I moved to Trenton when I was 13. But I got into boxing actually watching Muhammad Ali. Just even like I was explaining in Showtime that my actual middle name is Showtime. Like that's on my birth certificate. So like even like when I was born, my mom named me Showtime. Like that's my real middle name. That's not a nickname or no joking name. That's my actual middle name. It's on my birth certificate. All that. But I really got into boxing just by watching Muhammad Ali. I was 5 years old, and my mom had brought me like a little disc, like just playing around a Muhammad Ali disc. And it had all his great fights on there. The Thriller Manila, Rumble in the Jungle, The Day I Shook the World. A lot of his great fights. And I remember just watching him fight, and I'm like, oh man, I want to be able to move like that. I want to be able to beat somebody up like that and not get hit.
Yep.
So probably like a week or 2 weeks later, I got in the gym. I went to this gym called the PAL, right on 400 Liberty, right by where I used to live. So ever since then, I went in there, and I just loved it.
Nice. Because I guess the big question is like, did you have a big amateur background? Did you go up against some really big names like that probably have gone pro now?
Yeah, I don't know if you know who Bruce Carrington is.
Yeah, I know.
That's what that's what I started with. That's what I started with. Everybody think we brothers. Like everybody used to think we was friends. But like that's what I started with. He trained with Sosa. Sosa trained Nikita Kabari.
Yeah.
I fought Nikita Kabari. Nikita gave my first loss. I got 406 amateur fights.
Nikita Ababi, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yo, that's crazy, because Nikita was saying that he fought a lot of those up and coming prospects that were coming up in the amateurs, and I was thinking like that it could have been you, but I wasn't so sure, because people just don't really know that much about boxing, and they just kind of just lie out of like their own mindset, just to say, well, he's just this other ordinary fighters. So forget about this guy, focus on this guy. But then when you look at their history between other fighters, you start to understand that those fighters actually knew each other prior to the pros. So I was just really confused because when I was looking at all these up and coming fighters that are coming up in the pros, a lot of them knew each other in the amateurs, and I think it's a trend because it's just like in college sports. Like you see one guy that you face, in college basketball. Next minute, if you see him in the pros, then you see him in the pros. But in boxing, it's like it's way different because you could fight this guy in the future, but he's not going to be the same fighter that you fought, prior to the amateurs.
Definitely. But I fought Nikita. I was supposed to fight Rashad too, but we never fought. I grew up around a lot of guys. Me and Edgar Berlinga used to train in the same gym. That's a real good friend of mine. Jose Vargas, is a real good friend of mine. Me and him was actually just talking right before I was texting you.
Oh, nice.
A lot of big names. A lot of big names. So amateur background crazy. I was on the national team with Shakur Stevenson.
Wow.
I got a crazy amateur background. Crazy amateur background.
So you basically went pro at like what, 20? Like 19?
Yeah, 19, 20.
Damn, dude, like you're a killer. Like you have like ultimate talent.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I still feel like I ain't see half of it yet.
Yeah, because
I feel like it's so much more that that I'm able to show and able to display. So it's just all a matter of me becoming the complete fighter that I know I can be. Because I have a lot of abilities. I just gotta bring it out. I gotta display them more.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I really didn't hear anything about you leading up to the Janelson fight, and I kind of feel like really like bad for myself for like not looking up all these other fighters that are on the come up because what I don't like about the sport of boxing is that when there are new up and coming prospects that are coming up, they don't talk about these guys a lot. They don't talk about people like you, and it's usually at the at the midpoint of their career when you actually get to see them. But it's like it's like a one-time thing. Like, if they're put on like a good card, that's when you actually get to know them versus actually knowing them when they actually come up. And I find that very disappointing because there's so much talent out here. Because I'm from Albany, New York, and I grew up in the 518 Capital District area. And I ran into like two pros in my life when I started boxing 2 years ago. But when I ran into those pros, they told me like a lot of people that they ran into from like other parts of the nation, and I don't know if you know these guys. I have talked with professional fighters like Abraham Nova, if you know him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I also speak with man, who's that other fighter? I think his name is J.A. Brown.
I don't think I know him.
Yeah, G.A. Brown, he's from Schenectady. That's where, I live out in the capital region. I don't live in Schenectady, I live in Albany, but he's another professional fighter. Oh, also, Kasir Goldson, if you know him too.
Say the name again?
Kasir Mazi Goldson. Yeah, Kasir Goldson, he's another, up-and-coming prospect from Albany. He fights at welterweight, like you. So, I believe he fights under Top Rank, if I'm not mistaken. Same thing with AB. But, nah, it's just, really surprising when I got to know you, because I was, not knowing anything about all these fighters coming up, and then, when I saw you fight Janelson, I was like, yo, this kid, he's so slick, he's flashy, and, I actually thought you actually won the entire fight, and, I was, really shocked about the decision. But, I wanted to, one, give you credit for, displaying your talents, but two, Did your team ever try to revisit that fight to try to get a rematch with him?
We had asked for a rematch, like literally after the fight. You see my promoter go over there and talk to him, like nah, let's get a rematch, this and that. And they said that they was gonna do it, but we ain't get nothing yet. We ain't get no calls back yet. So
yeah, that's terrible, man. Because
I mean, I'm all honesty. After everything was said and done, like when I went back to the hotel after the fight, I honestly, I wasn't even mad about the situation. I wasn't angry about the situation. I was honestly just happy that I got to fight on Showtime and everybody got to see it. So it's actually, I don't look at that as like a loss or a draw. Because I got to display my talent in front of thousands of people. So that's a win in my book, and then everybody that watched it know I won. So it's a win in my book.
Hey, if you guys rematch, Kano Loco Sports, the YouTuber that I talked to, he proposed that you and Janelson should fight in the Dominican Republic if you ever get a rematch, because if it ever goes to a draw, you actually go, like, correct me if I'm wrong, like one extra round, and then whoever wins that round wins that entire fight. So I would definitely try to have that fight in the Dominican Republic, because
I'm saying, but that right there don't matter either. Because if you want to ten I'm not gonna lie to you. I give him. We did 10 rounds. I give him
one,
maybe two, maybe two. In all honesty, maybe two. But that was still called a draw.
Yeah.
And then what was crazy was the week after I fought, I think that was the Mikey Fox fight.
Yes,
And
yes.
Fox fight, that was way worse than
Yo.
mine, so I was not complaining.
Do you realize how evil the WBA is?
That's crazy.
Bruh, they straight up, dude, like, I'm not trying to get racial here, but I just personally feel like they just don't like black people. Like, I'm just keeping it real. I personally feel like when it comes to a black fighter that is, like, on his peak to being great, they don't want to see another Muhammad Ali moment. They don't want to see somebody knock out their favorite fighter or beat up their favorite fighter. And I feel like all these, like, type of fighters, in which I call them hopeless fighters versus coincidentalist fighters, those fighters are always protected politically because they don't want those fighters to be fighting the most dangerous fighters off the coincidental, like you.
Right.
Because if it wasn't for those hopeless fighters, coincidentalist fighters would be dominating, the entire sport.
Right.
That's why when you look at it in basketball, you always see black people dominate that. No other racial group ever dominates that sport. But in boxing, it's just clearly shown that there's some form of racial political bias that protects a fighter to make sure those fighters are not fighting their best competition. And I find that to be absolutely, degrading and very evil, because it's, downgrading so many fighters', careers. But, in regards to, your career, you've fought some really good names. I wanted to ask, as far as the matchmaking goes, did you have to, like, go through certain fights just to get your name up there before you got, like, your big opportunities?
Definitely not. My third fight, I fought Paul Crow, which is another really good fighter. He was an Olympian too.
Yeah.
But I don't. This is the thing. This is the thing. Even when they brought the fight to me, they told me, yo, I can't even tell you how many people called me and told me, like, yo, bro, don't take that fight. Like, yo, don't take that fight. Don't take that fight. And we still took it. I'm not the type of person to just because a person has a big name or this and that. You the same way you know him, you don't know me. So it's like you only looking at what he's done. I have a big amateur pedigree and background also. So even if you go back and actually watch the fight, I still don't feel like I lost the fight. I had a lot of people tell me, like, yo, I feel like you won. I got tired in like I'm not gonna lie. I got tired in like the fourth round, fourth, fifth round. But even still, I feel like I won every round before that.
Yeah, because some critics say that you have a tendency of getting tired in the later rounds, but I just probably would just say like that's just normal for any fighter that goes through adversity and tough fights. But as far as like your skill set goes, would you consider yourself to be more of a boxer or more of like a boxer puncher? No, I think you disconnected. Oh. Oh, are you here? Oh.
Hello? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
You hear me?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I was asking a question as far as as far as your skill set goes, would you consider yourself more to be a boxer or more to be a boxer puncher?
Um, I would say a boxer puncher. I would definitely say a boxer puncher because at any moment, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I got power. I got speed. I'm technical. So like literally, I don't never feel like I'm outmatched. I don't never feel like I'm outmatched. I feel like if a person like if it's time for me to brawl and walk a person down, I can do that. If it's time for me to box and display boxing skills, I can do that. If I have to be technical, defense wise, or offensively, defensively, I don't feel like I really lack too much anything. But I do feel like I can be better at everything.
Yeah, because I really do see your skills to be almost similar to like I want to say like I want to say that you kind of fight a little bit like Meldrick Taylor. I'm just using him as a prime example because how you fight is that you really pick your opponents, apart, and you don't really look for like killer opportunities. You just kind of just like play it out, and then if you see the opportunity to break someone down, then you just go for it. And I think what you displayed in the Janelson fight is that no matter how much power your opponent has, you could just take them out of their element and make them look basic because that's what the sport is. It's hit and not get hit, but it's all about fundamentals. And you're basically the ultimate fighter to be all about fundamentals. And a lot of people don't want to see that because when we look at other fighters like Devin Haney, where they call him boring, they want to say, oh, well, he's not knocking anybody out, but he's giving you a show. He's outboxing his opponent. He's doing what he says he's going to do. He's going to take him to school. But
I feel like now, nowadays, boxing is so political. It's really based off political things. Like people say Mayweather was born because he ran. He ran while he was fighting. At the end of the day, it's boxing. The objective is to hit and not get hit. So if that means I gotta move any type of way, I gotta move to not let you hit me and being elusive. What is that?
Yeah, it's a decisive sport.
And how is he born and still the most paid athlete on the world?
I could use that.
Why watch him fight? Why?
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of both. Love and hate and political stuff.
Yeah. But I will add on to that to say if your favorite fighter is boring, why the hell would you want to watch that fighter? Right? If your favorite basketball player is boring, why would you want to watch him?
It's crazy.
But yeah, I personally think you are a tremendous fighter. I would really like to show up to see you fight one day. I've never been to a boxing fight, and I'd like to see you back on Showtime, man, because that was a stellar performance. And I was telling Kano the other day, like, yo, this kid, he's so good, and I'm just sitting here like, why aren't why aren't these type of fighters being put on TV more? Because it's like they only like pick and choose certain fighters that they want on television, and I'm sitting
Mhm.
here like, dude, there's plenty of other better fighters out there that could easily smoke these fighters. You
Mhm.
know, I don't think too highly of like some of what I'll just use some prime examples like top ranked fighters. Like I'll just go with I'll probably use Teofimo Lopez as a great example. I don't think he's the greatest fighter ever. I personally think
Mhm.
Devin Haney would wash him, and I want to see him fight Devin Haney. But if he's going to stand behind Bob Arum and try to say, "Oh well, I can't make this fight happen," Bob Arum has to call the shots, blah blah blah. But then you turn back around and say that you're going to send contracts to Devin and George Kambosos and wait to see what happens. It's like, dude, that
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense. It's either you're
How do
going,
you contradict yourself?
yeah, but it's like you're sitting here saying that you want to fight the best, but you're not going to do it. It's like, yeah, like what are you doing? Are you either a champion or are you just like a wannabe fighter?
Mhm.
But as far as your career goes, where do you see yourself in the next couple years? Like, like what's your future goals of what you want to do?
Um.
Um,
Well.
well,
Uh.
uh,
Between
between
2020 and
2020 and
2021,
2021,
I was
I
the
was the
most
most
busiest
busiest
fighter.
fighter.
Yeah, you were. I actually looked into it.
Literally the
Literally the
most
most
busiest
busiest
fighter of
fighter
the
of the
year.
year.
And
And
I've
I've
been
been
pro.
pro.
What? This
What,
is
this
my
is my
second
second
year.
year.
My
My
second
second
year
year
being
being
pro.
pro.
I
I
got
got
17
17
fights,
fights,
17,
17,
18
18
fights.
fights.
Wow.
You
You
know?
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
within the
within the
first
first
year,
year,
I
I
already
already
had
had
what, 13
13
fights
fights
already.
already.
13
13
fights.
fights.
It
It
was
was
sometimes I
sometimes
was
I was
fighting
fighting
every
every
2
2
weeks,
weeks,
like
like
every
every
3
3
weeks,
weeks.
basically, I
Basically,
was
I was
fighting.
fighting.
Do you ever give yourself time to like recover your body so that way you're not taxing it too much, right?
Of
Of
course,
course,
Yeah.
of
of
course.
course.
But
But you know,
I
I
like to
like to
stay
stay
ready
ready
because
because
at
at
any
any
point in
point in
time,
time,
we
we
could get
could
a
get a
call
call
like,
like,
yo,
"Yo,
yeah,
yeah,
we
we
need you
need you
to
to
such and
such and
such
such
fell out
fell
a
out of
fight,
fight,
and
and
do
do
you
you
want the
want the
opportunity
opportunity
to?"
to?"
So
So
if you
if you
stay
stay
ready,
ready,
you
you
don't
don't
gotta
gotta
get
get
ready.
ready.
So
So
I
I
like
like
to
to
be in the gym,
gym,
more
more
often
often
than
than
not.
not.
So
So
Yeah, because I was just about to ask, like, how do you work around with the money? Because, boxing is a pretty bad sport for not having good, payouts, especially starting out. Correct me if I'm wrong.
hmm
mhm,
definitely
definitely
right.
right.
Yeah, because it's like, like you're not like any big time athlete, which I'm not trying to say that you can't. It's just like boxing is not like the NBA where you can easily just get a paycheck for sitting on the bench. You
hmm
have
Mhm.
to get your paycheck by punching someone in the face, and sadly enough, you're not being financially protected when you're being inactive.
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah, so could you actually explain to all the casuals of how difficult it is to actually live the life as a boxer and try to get fights? Because I think a lot of people try to, yeah,
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 it's
it's
definitely
definitely
hard.
hard.
Especially you
Especially you
gotta
gotta
have
have
like
like
somebody
somebody
behind
behind
you.
you.
If you
If you
don't
don't
have a
have a
real
real
good
good
team, then
team,
it's
then it's
gonna be
gonna be
really
really
hard. Like
hard. Like
I
I
remember,
remember,
I
I
just
just
had a
had a
conversation with
conversation with
one of
one of
my
my
friends.
friends.
He a
He a
pro
pro
boxer
boxer
too, and
too,
he
and
was
he was
asking me
asking me
like,
like,
"Yo,
"Yo,
bro, if
bro,
you
if you
don't
don't
mind,
mind,
how much
how
you
much you
got
got
paid your
paid your
first
first
fight?"
fight?"
I
I
did a
did a
four
4 round
rounder.
of
I
it.
got
I
paid a
paid a
thousand
thousand
dollars.
dollars.
And
And
he was
he was
like,
like,
"Yo,
"Yo,
that's
that's
crazy,
crazy
because I
because I
got
got
like
like
400."
400.
what?
I'm
I'm
like, "Yo,
like, yo,
but you
but you
see
see
the
the
difference?
difference.
You
You
really
really
see
see
the
the
difference
difference
of
of you know
who
who
you
you
are,
are.
depending
Depending
on where
on
you
where you
fight
fight
at,
at.
if you
If you
have
have
a
a
real
real
good
good
team
team
behind
behind
you,
you,
all of
all of
that
that
really
really
plays a
plays a
part.
part.
All of
All of
that
that
really
really
plays a
plays a
part,
part
because
because
at the
at
end
the
of
end
the
of the
day,
day,
I
I
fought
fought
on,
on.
I
I
fought.
fought.
I
I
think
think
my
my
first
first
fight
fight
was a
was a
thousand
thousand
dollars. My
dollars. My
second
second
fight
fight
was a
was a
thousand
thousand
dollars.
dollars.
Then when
Then
I
when I
fought
fought
Paul,
Paul,
that was
that
a
was a
Showtime
Showtime
fight.
fight.
I
I
think I
think I
got
got
like
like
5,000 for
5,000 for
that
that
fight.
fight.
I think I
Think I
got
got
like
like
about
about
5,000 for
5,000 for
that
that
fight. So
fight. So
it
it
just
just
show
show
you,
you
like,
like
if you're
if you're
not
not
really
really
like
like
on
on
big
big
television
television
that
that
you
you
have to
have to
be
be
on
on
real
real
a
a
really
really
big
big
card for
card
you
for
to
you to
get
get
some
some
type of
type of
a
a
paycheck.
paycheck.
Yeah, because I've kind of looked at like the annual salary for average, not so good boxers. They they make less than people that probably survive off of minimum wage jobs. So,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure someone who's a programmer making, six figures, close to millions of dollars, they're probably doing way better. But it's like that average pro boxer that's trying to wait for that phone call to get a big, fight. It's like, no, screw that. Boxing should not be like that. It should be like one of the best high paying sports in the world. But sadly,
Definitely.
it's so.
Definitely.
Definitely. I
I
definitely
definitely
feel
feel
like
like
that.
that.
But
But
like
like
I
I
said,
said, you gotta have
you
definitely
definitely
gotta
gotta have
have
the
the
right
right
people
people
around
around
you,
you,
to
to
put
put
you
you
in
in
them
them
positions.
positions.
You
You
know?
know?
You
Yeah,
got
Yeah,
because
because
if
if
not,
not,
you're
you're
gonna
gonna
really
really
have to
have to
do it
do
on
it on
your
your
own.
own.
yeah, because I've heard some really crappy stories out of some boxers that had to give up fights for their paycheck, and they had to fight for free. Like like I know Nestor Bravo. I don't know if you know him. He's a Puerto Rican fighter. He fights in the lightweight division. He trains out of Florida, but he's told stories on Kana Loco's channel for anyone that wants to check him out. He took fights straight up for free. He he had to give up his money for the other opponent to fight him, and he had to fight for free in some of his
That's
fights.
But
but
for
for
you
you
to
to
do
do
that,
that,
you
you
have to
have to
really
really
like
like
that's
that's
really
really
love for
love
the
for the
sport.
sport. That's
That's a
a
real
real
love for
love
the
for the
sport.
sport.
Yeah,
I was
I
just
was just
watching
watching
like I
like I
even
even
watched
watched
Chrissy
Chrissy
Martin
Martin
documentary
documentary
on
on
Netflix.
Netflix.
yeah, man, I gotta watch that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
definitely
watch it.
watched it.
But
But
even
even
in
in
there,
there,
she was
she was
saying
saying
how
how
she used
she
to
used to
fight for
fight for
$60.
$60.
What?
She had
Yeah,
fights
fight
for
for
$60?
$60.
$60.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, dude, man,
Yes.
yeah,
I'd never heard about that. And I
Yes.
love
yeah.
Christy Martin. I grew up watching her when I was a little kid, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
that's a
real
real
good
good
friend of
friend of
mine.
mine.
Wow. Yeah,
Real good
Real
she
good
friend of
friend of
mine.
mine.
she's a great woman. Like I want to meet her so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
She's
She's
definitely a
definitely a
great
great
person.
person.
Definitely a
Definitely a
great
great
person.
person.
Yeah, I wanted to ask as far as like promotional offers go, like have you been offered like any promoter that wants to put you on, or are you signed to anybody like a
Well,
network
My
or
promoter,
yeah.
my
promoter
promoter
is
is
Nadell
Nadell
Promotions.
Promotions.
He
He
had
had
fighters
fighters
such
such
as
as
Omar
Omar
Shika,
Shika,
um,
um,
Celine
Celine
Kabari,
Kabari,
um,
um,
Nettles.
Nettles.
You
You
know,
know,
a
a
couple of
couple of
guys.
guys.
Omar
Omar
Shika
Shika
was a
was a
real
real
good
good
fighter. He
fighter.
was
He was
on
on
what's
what's
that?
that?
What's
What's
that
that
show
show
called? I
called? I
forgot. It
forgot
was
it
a
was a
boxing
boxing
show.
show.
I
I
used to
used to
watch
Contender?
it
watch
when
it
I
when
was
I was
younger.
younger.
The
Contender?
Contender.
Yeah,
The
Contender,
Contender.
contender.
Yes.
yes.
Omar
Omar
Shika
Shika
used to
used to
fight on
fight on
there.
there.
He used
He
to
used to
fight on
fight
the
on the
Contender.
Contender.
Uh,
Uh,
um,
um,
Kabari.
Kabari,
He was
he
a
was a
world
world
champion.
champion.
You know, he
He
fought
fought
Joe
Joe
Kawasaki.
Kawasaki.
I
I
feel
feel
like
like
he
he
actually,
actually,
beat
beat
Joe
Joe
Kawasaki.
Kawasaki.
I feel
I
like
feel
he
like he
got
got
robbed.
robbed. Um,
Dang.
Yeah, he
yeah,
was the
he was the
first
first
person to
person to
ever
ever
drop Joe
drop Joe
Kawasaki and
Kawasaki and
everything.
everything.
Yeah,
So
So
Joe.
he was
he
a
was a
great
great
fighter.
fighter.
I
I
think he
think he
won.
won.
I
I
think he
think he
won
won
two
two
world
world
titles.
titles.
Yeah,
Uh,
Joe.
Kabari.
Kabari.
I think Kabari
Kabari.
Kabari
won
won
two.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kabari
Kabari
Salim.
Salim. His
His son
son
was
was
his
his
son
son
Omar.
Omar.
That's
That's
he in
he
my
in my
training
training
camp.
camp.
That's like
That's
my
like my
brother.
brother.
He
He
he was
he
an
was an
Olympian.
Olympian. You know,
Oh, wow.
He
he
fought on
fought
the
on the
Olympics for
Olympics for
Egypt.
Egypt.
So
So
he
he
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
I'm
I'm
surrounded
surrounded
by
by
some
some
real
real
good
good
people.
people.
My
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 sparring
sparring
partner is
partner is
Tevin
Tevin
Farmer.
Farmer.
You know who
You know who
Tevin
Tevin
Farmer
Farmer
is?
is?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just about to ask you that because somebody commented on my video that I did about you, and
Yeah.
he told me like that he trains you, and I wasn't so sure who this guy was, but whoever you are, just say whatever that you wanted to say to me. But he was basically saying that he trained you, but I wasn't so sure who he was. But as far as like the
Yeah.
stable goes, you do train with Tevin Farmer's team, right? Like you're not like
Yeah. Coach
Coach
Chino. Chino.
Chino.
oh
Chino
yeah, yeah,
Rivera.
Chino, the Hispanic looking guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't even know who that troll was. I'm not even going to put him give him any like attention, but
He
He
said he
said he
trained me
trained me
now.
now.
Yeah. Like, he said, like, under, like, my YouTube comments when I made, like, the video about you, he said, yeah, like, I trained Shinard, blah, blah, blah. Next time when we face Janelson, we will stop him. And I'm like,
What was
What
the
was the
guy
guy
name? You
name? You
remember the
remember the
guy
guy
name?
name?
I don't know. I think his name was, like, TM or something. Like, I don't even know, man. Like, I'm gonna, after this, I'm gonna take a screenshot of it, and I'm gonna send it to you through Instagram.
Definitely. But
Yeah.
if
If
it's
it's
not
not
Chino
Chino
Rivas
Rivas
and
and
Nick
Nick
Rosario,
Rosario,
then
then
they
Yeah,
don't
that's
train
what I
with me.
was, like, I was just so confused about that, because I don't take that, lightly. I don't believe in all that, especially
Yeah.
from the internet.
Crazy.
But I wanted to ask, like, like as far as how low, like, what the state of boxing goes. Do you see yourself facing, like, those top dogs at 147, like Jaron Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, um, probably just, like, anybody that's going to be on the come up, that's going to become a threat for that division?
Of
of
course.
course,
Of
of
course.
course.
But at
But
the
at the
same
same
time,
time,
we're
we
not in
not
a
in a
rush.
rush.
Not in
Not
a
in a
rush.
rush.
So
So
we're
we're
gonna
gonna
take
take
smart
smart
fights,
fights.
you
You
know,
know,
and we're
we're
just
just
gonna
gonna
move
move
accordingly.
accordingly.
We're just
We're just
gonna
gonna
move
move
accordingly.
accordingly.
So
So
it's
it's
not
not
really
really
no
no
rush
rush
to
to
try
try
to
to
rush
rush
and
and
be
be
at the
at the
top
top
or
or
rush
rush
and
to
be
be
number
number
one.
one.
You
You
know.
know.
So
So
if the
if the
opportunity
opportunity
comes,
comes,
and
and
we
we
feel
feel
like
like
the
the
whole
whole
team
team
as a
as a
whole
whole
feel
feel
like
like
we're
we're
ready
ready
to
to
take
take
on the
on the
task, then
task, then
that's what
that's
we're
what we're
gonna
gonna
do.
do.
Yeah, and I guess as far as, like, making weight goes, like, are you comfortable, staying at 147, or do you have any aspirations to move up and capture other titles?
I'm
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 I'm a, my
my
normal
normal
weight. I
weight I
fight at
fight at
140.
140.
I
I
moved
moved
up to
up to
fight
fight
Booker
Booker
Chica.
Chica.
Oh yeah, that's
When I
When I
true.
fought
fought
Cameron
Cameron
Carroll,
Carroll,
I
I
fought at
fought at
140.
140.
Yeah, Cameron Carroll, he's a beast, man. But
Yeah.
you definitely gave him a fight. Like, you definitely, like, showed him who's the boss. And I feel like you would have done the same thing to Elvis Rodriguez too, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
he kind of fights almost like him. And when I saw him defeat Cameron, I was like, that was, like, by far, like, the biggest mismatch ever. I was thinking
Tell you
Elvis was
something,
gonna
right?
lose.
I don't,
I,
I'm about
I'm
to tell
about
you,
to
I
tell you,
don't
I
even
don't
know
even
if
know
I'm
if I'm
supposed to
supposed
say
to say
this
this
on
on
here.
here.
No,
I
say
don't know
it.
if I'm supposed to say it.
But
But they
they
just
just
called
called
me
me
for
for
Elvis
Elvis
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
So
So
What?
if
if you
when you
when you
see
see
me
me
post,
post,
I don't
I
know
don't
if
know
you
if
see
you
my
see my
post on
post on
Instagram,
Instagram,
but it was
but it
like
was like
October
October
16th.
16th.
I was
I
supposed
was
to
supposed to
fight in
fight in
Las
Las
Vegas.
Vegas.
I was
I was
supposed to
supposed to
fight
fight
Elvis
Elvis
Oh,
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
yo.
But
But
they
they
tried to
tried to
call. They
call. They
called me.
called
It
me.
was
It was
like,
like,
yo,
yo,
nah, it's
nah,
the
it's the
ninth.
ninth.
This
This
and
and
that. Da,
that.
da,
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 da, da,
da. They
da. They
try to
try to
rush the
rush the
process.
process.
Get out of
Alright,
here.
We're
we're
not
not
rushing
rushing
anything.
anything.
We're not
We're not
rushing
rushing
anything.
anything.
And
And
I'm
I'm
not
not
ducking
ducking
nobody.
nobody. I'm not.
Yeah, but
I'm
I'm
not even
not even
gonna
gonna
talk
talk
about.
about.
I'm not
I'm
even
not even
gonna.
gonna.
You know. I ain't
I
gonna
ain't gonna
tell
tell
that.
that.
yeah,
He
I
need to
was
go.
You know.
yeah, I was just talking with Zarina McCoy. I don't know if you know her, but she's been through that situation too. She's been in situations where she had to take fights on short notice, and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, no wonder why she fights in Mexico, to start out her career. But she's actually fighting today. But she told me, in certain cases, like, whenever a fighter does get a call on short notice, it's, like, really unexpected, and it's really bad for those fighters that have to, like, make up all that time just to go over to the fight, and then not even know, like, what's expected out of it, because, you're, like, you're obviously showing up to the fight,
But
unprepared.
what's
What's
crazy
crazy
is
is
because
because
this is
this
the
is the
second
second
time they
time they
did
did
this.
this.
Elvis
Elvis
Rodriguez,
Rodriguez,
this is the
this is the
second
second
time they
time they
did
did
this.
this.
They
They
did this
did this
before.
before.
I
I
fought in
fought in
North
North
Carolina.
Carolina.
So we
So we
drove
drove
down
down
there.
there.
As
As
we're
we're
driving
driving
back,
back,
they're
they're
calling us
calling us
like, yeah,
like,
we
yeah, we
want
want
y'all,
y'all,
da
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 da.
da.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we
gonna
gonna
fight in
fight in
Vegas
Vegas
Get out of here
on
on
like a
like a
3 day
3 day
notice.
notice.
on a
So I'm like,
3 day.
yo, we're
We're
coming
coming
back
back
from a
from a
fight.
fight.
We're
We're
literally
literally
coming
coming
back
back
from a
from a
fight.
fight.
Y'all
Y'all
want me
want me
fight
fight
3 days
3 days
later?
later?
And
And
then
then,
like,
like,
come on now,
Yeah,
come
he's
on,
trying to pull that Canelo Alvarez trick
come
on
on.
you. He's trying to give you less time to prepare, and then he could be all trained up and ready.
Yeah,
yeah,
Man,
not
not
gonna
screw
gonna
that,
happen.
happen.
man. I was kind of happy Kenneth Simmons defeated him, because I wasn't thinking too high off of Elvis. I was thinking, like, okay, eventually he's gonna get styled on by somebody that knows how to, time him out. What's your thoughts on some of these fighters trying to duck and dodge everybody, because it seems like we're living in a pretty weak generation of fighters.
No, definitely. And I feel like a lot of fighters took Mayweather's I don't even know how to explain it. Because a lot of fighters say like, yeah, for me to be good, I have to be undefeated and this and that, da 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 da. You don't though. You don't. Mayweather literally fought 16 world champions consecutively and beat them all.
Yeah,
it's not one time it's like, Mayweather not going to lose, this and that, da da da. It's a possibility he could have lost. Yeah, he get in there and whip his ass off, but literally anything could happen in the fight.
Yeah,
literally. And once Mayweather lose, then what? Mayweather would have still been. He would have still been great. That's one thing I really don't understand. Like nowadays generation, a person gonna be like, yeah, I gotta be like Mayweather to make it. I have to be undefeated.
So stupid.
Pacquiao lost first fight. Bernard Hopkins lost. Like you gotta understand. This is a part of the game. This is a part of the game. You're gonna lose. You're gonna win. You're gonna,
Yeah, but it's how you come back from your losses.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah, because I used to wrestle in high school, and I went 27-3, but every time I lost, I kept on getting better, and I was stomping people.
My exact point. I fought pro at my third fight.
Yeah, I was about to.
After that, look what happened. I'm going on like a 7, 8, 9 knockout streak.
Dude, look at Tevin Farmer. Like, ever since he took that.
Point.
Yeah.
My exact point. It's stuff like that. You understand? Stuff like that. People try to, I don't know if they, like you said, is weak-minded or they really believe that they have to be undefeated to be a top caliber fighter or to get paid or to be great. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. You be great by being great.
That's why we keep talking about them.
Great fighters and like literally being great. If you fought every fight, if you fight 16 consecutive, I don't even care if you lose. I don't care if you lose. 16 consecutive world champions, you're great.
You are.
You're great. Canelo, he's still great. You know what I mean? Muhammad Ali lost. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Felix Trinidad.
So I really don't be understanding. Like, I don't understand people's certain mindsets. That's why it was never like one time they told me to fight and it's like, well, yeah, I'm scared to lose. No, if I gotta go in there and fight, we're gonna go in there and fight.
Yeah, because
I'm not ducking. I'm not running from nobody. I'm not doing none of that. If we're gonna fight, we're gonna fight. I want to fight the best. I want to test myself. I want to see where I'm at. Because at the end of the day, if like even with the Boca Chica fight, I was down. It was 16-1. For the best.
What?
Yes.
Oh, so like if he beats you, you get a lot of money? As
my exact point. I was down.
Oh, so you were the betting underdog, yo.
My exact point.
Holy crap!
But I like that though. I like that because now you feel me? Look what happened.
Look what happened.
And in situations like that can literally change everything.
Yeah, but if you had beat him like the right way, same thing with Michael Fox, you would have already had, like your big time opportunity with Showtime. They would have been like, oh wait, this kid, he's actually that good. Maybe PBC should really expand with them. Like
I'm saying, I feel like even with the draw, PBC still called me after the fight. Showtime still called me after the fight. So I'm not losing. I'm not losing.
Yeah, I
feel like that helped me. It still helped me. Yeah, the win would help me, but even that helped me because everybody know, like, yo, we know for a fact he won. we know for a fact who won. So, you know, I don't feel like, like I said, I don't feel bad about nothing.
I definitely agree, but I have to have the pure hatred towards the promoter politics because, like we all know damn well that if this fight was a fair, clean fight with no politics involved, we already know where the right, like we already know who's going to who's going to be who. So it's like why do these people think that it matters based off of what promoter you come from? Because it really destroys the sport. Like, take a look at what happened with Oscar Valdez. Do you realize what happened after he robbed Conceição? Literally, when he went back to Mexico, there was a statue waiting for him, coming back down to his hometown. Like when Valdez, was going back down to Mexico, there was a statue waiting for him. So the WBC had everything pre-planned to have that fight made, and the judge the judge Stephen Blay, the guy that robbed Conceição, he admitted that he had connections with the WBC, and yet you still let Valdez cheat. Like,
and Valdez got tested for illegal substance. They still let him fight.
Fentanyl is a really dangerous drug too.
I'm not understanding. I really don't understand that. I don't understand that. All right. If it's a legal substance, why are you still allowed to fight? If that was a black fighter,
like Spence, yeah, he'd be, sent to jail. Terrible.
Sent to jail. He stripped his title. He can't fight. He got to pay $300,000 for a fine. All type of crazy stuff.
Compare that same black athlete comparison to any other black athlete that has been popped dirty in any other sport. It has never changed. When Alex Rodriguez got caught dirty, what happened to him? Oh, okay, see you later. Yankee said bye, get fined. He loses everything. And now he's not talked about no more. But yet, people know about that now because Alex Rodriguez got exposed.
Even Colin Kaepernick taking the knee for what he believed in. That's something he believed in.
Yeah,
and he got destroyed, literally.
Yeah, but I mean, when you take a risk in doing stuff like that, you should know what the get back is going to come back to you for, because there's going to be a positive and negative externality coming back to you. So as a professional athlete, when you're being looked at as a coincidentalist athlete, you have more on the line to lose versus for someone that's being politically protected as a hopeless athlete.
Right. You're 100% correct.
Because if sports were balanced fairly, everybody would be held accountable to the right standard. You wouldn't be seeing no athlete getting away with crack cocaine and then they're still able to play on the field. So it's like, why the hell does the sport of boxing go through all this corruption? But when we look at other sports that actually take it a little bit further and holding people accountable, it's not as bad, but still, the corruption itself is levels behind boxing.
Definitely.
And I wanted to ask you, in regards to cheating in the sport, do you and your team make sure that when you get into a fight, you make sure everything's cleared with your opponent? You don't let anything slip by, right? With any scandals. So, I guess that the question is how do you make sure when you get into a fight with somebody that you make sure everything is balanced correctly, that there's no sense of you catching somebody cheating against you, right?
Well, when we get there, we get tested. They test us for substance and all type of things. So if a person is cheating, then we'll know. And at that point in time, it's really up to you if you want to fight or not, it's certain things like okay, like this. Even for example, when I fought Paul Pro, right? I weighed in at 146. The fight was at 147. Paul Pro weighed in at like 149. So what they did was they said, listen, this is what we can do. We can they basically told me like, alright, is either you fight and we give you like $250 off his pay cut or something like that, off his pay, or you can like basically you can just leave.
That's so stupid.
Literally, so it's like, alright, I came here to fight them.
Yeah, so you should.
We took the fight, even knowing. So it's really basically up to you and your team. Like they'll give you the option. Like, okay, do you still want this fight, or gonna back out? What are you gonna do? So they really kind of basically put you on the spot.
But let's just say if somebody tries to tamper with their gloves and try to cheat against you, do you make sure that you double check the the opponent's like possible cheating scandals in their corner? Right?
Definitely. And that's why like certain things are allowed. Like my trainer is allowed to go into my opponent's locker room and watch the coach wrap his hands. The same thing with me. He's allowed to come and watch my coach wrap my hands. With gloves now they have to be like packaged. We can't bring gloves that's loose. They have to be packaged, and the commissioner has to have them and like give them to us personally before the fight.
And then after the fight, what happens?
After the fight, the ref and everybody they come, they check our hands, they check the gloves, and that's basically how it goes. But
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like we really wouldn't know. So say if a ref is voting for this person, he actually does have something in his hand. He could go and act like he's checking, and there may still be something there, and check the gloves, something may be wrong. But you never really actually know. You never really actually know.
Yeah, because I want to ask that question, or the reason why I asked that is because I don't know how the screening process really goes for boxers like yourself when you get into a fight, because in the NBA and other sports, they get screened before and after their games. But for boxing, it's like the dangerous Wild West, almost like a red market, where you don't know what's going to happen.
Definitely.
And I find that to be like really, anti-consumerist and anti-consensual, for the sense of like you never knew what was happening in that particular issue, and that criminal scream could really get somebody hurt, severely.
Definitely.
Because what I also don't like is in certain commissions that approve people's like medical conditions that are not up to date properly, like what we saw with that one Mexican girl that passed away, the Jeanette Zacarias Zapata girl. I was just really curious of like who the hell was running the medical screening for her, because prior to this fight, when she got passed away by her opponent, she got knocked out in her last fight, and she was suffering medical deficiencies, and yet her team still won her to fight, and yet I'm just sitting here like she didn't get denied to not fight.
But that's like I said, that's crazy. Stuff like that is crazy to me, because we go through let me basically give you the rundown. We get in where we're gonna fight at, right? So say it's we get there Wednesday, we do what we have to do. Say we fight Friday. So we get there Wednesday, we do what we have to do. Thursday, we do the weigh-ins. So we basically, once we get to the venue, we sit down. First you gotta usually see a doctor. He basically give you like a little physical. And then it's like a evaluation. Like even when I just came back from Where did I just fight at? Arkansas.
Yeah.
When I just fought at Arkansas, it was like 4 or 5 doctors. You know that we had to see. So they doing vision tests. They're doing like twitch tests. So it's some places, you know, they're really big on that. That's the first time I've ever seen that. You know, I've been boxing all my life. It was 4 doctors in the room. You know, 4 doctors. So I can say now that they're actually really picking it up.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's only in some places, or if it's gonna be like that from now on. But you know, we basically go see a doctor. Doctor run all types of tests, blood tests. Sometimes they take urine. A lot of times they take urine. No, they do like all types of tests. So I really didn't understand like how the doctors or you know the people didn't see it was something wrong with, unless you know you really lie. You lie yourself.
Yeah.
You know? So it's certain tricks and you know certain stuff that you know people do that'll let you know.
Yeah, because
That'll get you past a certain point and they'll let you fight.
Yeah, because I don't like.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, because I don't like this shady, nonsense of fraudulent medical screenings in certain boxing venues that are run by whatever commissioning body that orders it. But still, it's like boxing should have a universalized structure where every time you fight, you have to be medically cleared to fight. You should not be fighting after coming from like a massive, stoppage laws or just like a massive war with somebody that you had recently defeated. You have to be medically cleared to fight before you get inside the ring.
That's one thing I definitely give credit to New Jersey for because I know that they like even if you have a tough fight and they feel like the fight was tough for you, they're gonna tell you like you should take some time off. Even like if a person gets knocked out, I think you have to wait 30 days. 30 days to even think about fighting again. So they give you like a suspension. You know?
Yeah, that's what I like. I was actually curious about that because I see some fighters on BoxRec that say that their profile says that they're suspended, and I've always been curious about that. Is that kind of just like a universal policy that certain commissions go by to like make sure that a fighter has like enough time to rest and recover?
Yeah, sometimes, but I've seen boxers get suspended for pulling out a fight.
What?
Yeah, literally. If your manager can suspend you.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, man.
Your manager had you suspended. If a person has pull, they can basically do anything they want. They can basically do anything they want.
Even if the
I've seen a fighter, right? A fighter. This promotion or the manager told him like, I want to fight on this card. He pulled out. I want to fight on this card. He pulled out. I want to fight on this card. So 3 or 4 pullouts, and they suspended him for like 50, 60 days or something like that.
Yeah, that's evil.
So it's crazy.
Yeah, because there's no like marketized like central body that's actually there for the sport. And I was talking with some other people about boxing. I want to say there was once a Fighters League Association that was called the NBA, also known as the National Boxing Association, that started in 1984. I wanted to actually ask you, do you think boxing should should have something like like that, like a sports league association, just like the NBA, in a sense where
I feel like I don't know because I feel like that would make it more political.
Even if you have what to say as a fighter.
Say that again.
even if you have, the first say as a fighter, shouldn't you be controlling your career? You
I
know,
mean, definitely, but even that will make it more political too. Because if you say like, okay, I don't want to fight him, but I want to fight him. If you say like, okay, I don't want to fight Devin Haney because Devin Haney is a world champion right now, and I know he can beat me, but I want to fight the the 20th seed. I want to fight the 20th seed. Anybody can say anything. Oh, well, yeah, you're scared of Devin Haney, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. It's still political.
yeah,
It's still political. So either way you put it, if and this is why I keep saying like you really have to have a good team. You have to have people behind you that you can trust and you can go to, and y'all can talk about certain things. Because there's a lot of fighters that can't even go to their manager and talk to their manager about stuff. Their manager's just gonna do what they want just because.
yeah. That's the problem that I have because boxing doesn't have that marketized structure where you can go see somebody in a human resources department to say, hey, like, I need something fixed up. I don't feel comfortable, with this team. Like, somebody needs to give me better options because it's like, one, you're putting your life on the line, and two, you control your legacy based on whatever you want to do. And if you're striving to be the greatest fighter, of your time, you should be given the greatest opportunities and the greatest resources around you to expand your career. Because, it's pointless to be having, a career in boxing if you're not able to control it. But, but yeah, last things that I wanted to cover is as far as your fan base goes, do you have any certain fan bases that you could possibly expand with, especially in certain fight venues that could be popular to you?
Anywhere I could expand, and I would want to. Anywhere, literally anywhere. Like I have literally people in Arkansas that was like, yo, like, I've been watching you for such and such. I'm like that's crazy to me. How you watching me all the way in Arkansas? That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just I like stuff like that. I like stuff like that. It's something that's positive. So that's really good. But anyway, I could expand my fan base, to help me grow. Then definitely I would do it. Definitely anywhere. It wouldn't matter to me. I don't care if it's the UK, China, Africa, anywhere. Literally, I'm serious.
Anywhere to increase your pay. Yeah.
Man, the more people watch you,
Yeah. Yeah, because that's another problem that I have too. Like, the lack of freedom of having media exposure, and if you're not being put out on bigger networks, I kind of feel like that's a political suppression against you, because if you're going to be the next up and coming contender to possibly upset that favorite fighter that somebody supports, it's like, how does that help you as a fighter? Everybody should be equally fared, in media, exposure. And if you're the best fighter out there, you should receive all the media attention. It makes no sense. But one last thing I'd like to ask is, as far as your future goes for your career, what do you want to do after your career to make a better influence for those that look up to you?
Anything I can. Anything I can. I definitely wanna. Like I said, I was I was born in New York, raised in Brooklyn. But I don't know if you know about Trenton. You feel me?
Yeah.
You know about Trenton?
No, not really. I've never been out to Jersey, or
Yeah.
I've been there, but I've never been that deep into the state.
Yeah, but Trenton is the capital of New Jersey, and it's only 7 miles big.
Yeah.
So it's a real small town.
a lot of everybody basically know everybody, but it's crazy, like real crazy out there. Like you got to know your P's and Q's. This generation, people people dropping like flies. So definitely you just gotta be better, like a better community. I feel like if they had somebody that like actually provided and even little things like parades and newer basketball courts, newer football fields, stuff like that. Just doing things like that, I feel like that can change a lot. And also, even for the youth, even for the youth, not only for people my age or older than me, but even for the youth. Because the youth, that's the next generation. That's the next, that's what we're raising. So it just definitely gotta be better. But I do think about that a lot. I definitely think about that a lot.
Yeah, same here.
More clubhouses, more cleaner schools. Because it's just it's bad down south.
Yeah, same thing out here in Albany. It's no different. It's just but the fact that Albany does have better civility when it comes to like people having good, decent jobs, but it's like the more urban it gets in the hood, it's just it's horrible.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like that because people should elevate themselves better. But I'm definitely with you on that because it's like I don't want to be living in no degenerate civilization. I want to be developing with people like yourself that that want to be up there.
Growing up in the hood, it's hard for you not to be a product of your environment. So you really gotta be a strong-minded person, and that's why anybody that's in the gym doing something good, something positive, it's just like it's really blessings. It's really blessings because it's easy for you to become a part of your environment. It's real easy. So just you staying on a right track or that's really a blessing. That's why I feel like it should be more activities, stuff that people could do. Like in New York, I didn't only box. Like when I was in school, I used to play rugby, I used to play football, I used to play soccer,
basketball.
When I came to Trenton, I'm telling them like, yeah, I used to play rugby. You're looking at me like, what's rugby? I've never even heard of that. So it's certain things like that. Like imagine bringing rugby to a town like this. That's something that could literally change somebody's life.
Yeah.
That's a professional sport that you can get into, even lacrosse. A whole lot of things. So anyway, that I feel like I can give back. If I am able to give back, then I'll be able to do it, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, definitely. Same here, man. Like, I just want to see a good, productive generation, hopefully. But, for people like us, I definitely do think there needs to be more community-driven people that bring out a positive influence to the younger generation because these kids are just going to end up like anybody else in a failed society. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that for my brothers, like my sister. So even if I do have kids in the future, I don't want that for anybody. So I definitely give you a lot of respect for that, and I wish you nothing but the best because I think when people look into athletes that have come from really bad situations, they kind of just look at them as like public enemies. And they don't actually give them, like a chance to understand their character and understand what, where their mindset comes from. So, that's why I never judge a book by its cover, and I always give respect to people until they disrespect me, and then I don't give them any more respect.
Yeah, definitely. That's how it goes. So how should you respect you and you don't respect me? It don't work like that.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, but
definitely I appreciate, you setting up this meeting and, us talking. I
I
definitely
definitely
will
will
hope
hope
that,
that
you
you
come
come
see me
see me
fight. You
fight.
can
You can
make a
make a
fight,
fight.
God
God
willing.
willing.
Um,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
Definitely.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
watching
watching
the
the
fight.
fight.
Thank you
Thank you
for,
for
contacting
contacting
me,
me
and
and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, most
setting up the
definitely.
meeting.
I'm definitely gonna be covering, about the next fight that you're in, and I'm definitely gonna do everything in my power to, support any fighter, any way I can. But I appreciate you coming on, to the channel to chop it up, and hopefully we could do this once more. And I guess if you have
Mhm.
any final last words for your fans before we head out.
I
I
just
just
want to
want to
say
say
thank
thank
everybody.
everybody.
If
If
you're
you're
watching
watching
this,
this,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Definitely
Definitely
subscribe.
subscribe.
Like,
Like,
share,
share,
repost,
repost,
everything.
everything.
I'm gonna
I'ma
keep,
keep,
you
you
know,
know,
being
being
good. I'm
good.
gonna
I'ma
keep,
keep, you know,
giving
giving
y'all
y'all
shows,
shows,
staying in
staying
the
in the
gym,
gym,
staying
staying
ready.
ready.
So,
So
stay on
stay
the
on the
lookout,
lookout,
and
and
they
they
better
better
know we
know we
coming.
coming.
They
They
better know
better
we
know we
coming.
coming.
Can't wait for it. It's gonna be a crazy generation. Let's go.
Definitely,
Definitely,
definitely.
definitely.
All right, thank you, my brother. I will catch you around. I appreciate it.
Sir,
Sir,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right,
All right,
bro.
bro.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. I had a really great time chopping it up with Shinard. Wow, what a great interview. Be sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Much love and respect to Shinard Bunch. Best wishes to to the rest of his career. Can't wait for the next fight. I will be covering it. Same thing with Zarina McCoy, who is fighting today. So for those of you that will be updated on that, I will keep you guys updated. So if there is a way I could actually get the pay-per-view or like whatever type of streaming service to put that fight onto my channel, I will most likely definitely do that. Again, much respect to Shinard Bunch. I had a great time, talking with you. And yeah, until next time, thank you guys for watching. Long live Puerto Rico, and long live the LDBC, man. You guys keep me going, and I give a lot of props to these fighters that actually want to, dare themselves to be great. So, salute to Shinard Bunch and salute to the LDBC. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys later. Goodbye.